Confidence is visible. Yep, you heard me right. Confidence is visible. People can see if you're confident or you're not confident. So today, what we're going to be doing is talking about how to project confidence and clarity in every conversation, every interaction, whether it's a team meeting, it's an impromptu discussion, it's that amazing keynote speech that you're giving, or you're doing a workshop for your employees, whatever it is. We're going to be talking about how to really project confidence and clarity so that you can master the art of showing up powerfully. I always tell my clients, I don't need you to be perfect. I just need you to be powerful. And having confidence is one of the ways that we show up powerfully. However, people often make a mistake of seeking confidence. They're always looking for confidence, right? You hear people say, oh, I'm just not that confident. I need to find my confidence. I need to build up my confidence. What I like to say is that clarity precedes confidence. And if clarity precedes confidence, then what we should be doing is seeking clarity, right? Not seeking to be confident, seeking to be clear. Because when we are clear about something, our shoulders go back, our head is held high, like, no, I'm clear about this, right? We're clear-eyed about something. That will help us to exude the confidence. Because some of the things that cause us to exhibit a lack of confidence, right? One is clarity. And when we are unclear about something, this is when the fear starts to creep in. So we fear judgment by people. People are going to think that I'm not who I say I am, that I'm not as smart as I am, that I shouldn't be in this position. Like, how did they get there? Like, why are they in the room? Why are they always the ones being on the project? So you start to feel that there's this judgment that's happening. You also fear that if you're giving a speech or if you're in a meeting or you're called on to answer a question, that you're going to forget. You're going to forget what you were supposed to say, right? And forgetting the lines or forgetting, what you wanted to convey in the presentation, again, this will shake your confidence. And we know that people in this day and age, what everybody's looking for because of social media is, I want to engage, I want to interact, I want you to be interactive. And some people are just not that. Right? Some of us are just not the whole engaging, want to be all out there a type. Some of us are introverts, some of us are ambiverts. And when we think that there's an expectation for us to be something that we're not, that will bring up this whole thing that will then shake our confidence because we're not clear. We're not clear about who we need to be in that moment so that we can serve the audience that we've been called to serve. But we're going to talk about all of that today, and to help you to, I don't like to say get over it, but to move through these things, move through these fears so that you can show up powerfully, right? That you can really get clear about who you are, what you're doing, what you're there to say, the message that you want to communicate, and the transformation that you want to have for the people who are in your audience, so that you can leave there feeling that you've done your job, right? So what are some of the things that we can do as we're thinking about this? One, again, is really understanding and getting very clear. I think this is the game changer. I think this is such the key to unlocking this whole notion of being confident is just getting clear. So clarity in your message, clarity in the audience, clarity in what it is that they're looking for. When we're speaking to people, one of the things that we have to understand is that our responsibility is to them. We have the knowledge, we have the information. We're the bridge that gets them from where they are, I always say current state, to desired state where they want to go, right? So they've come to this meeting, they've come to this conversation, they've come to this conference, because they're in a current state around something, right? They're looking for something and they don't want to leave that space the same person. They want to have some type of transformation. And your job is to be the bridge, the car, the plane, car, train, bus, whatever it is, right? The bridge that gets them there. And in order for you to do that, you have to be confident. You have to feel competent and you have to have the courage to be able to do that. And so there's lots of ways that we can do that. And, there's lots of ways with using our voice. There's ways around, what we put in our messaging. There's breathing techniques. So we're going to talk about some of those things today. And today is going to really be a mix of things. So choose what suits you and do away with what doesn't. Okay. And what will help you to be powerful. So one thing that we can think about, and you know this, right? When I say confidence is seen, right? Is something that is seen. When you see someone walk into a room and you look at their posture, or if you walk into a room and you're observing who's in the room and you look at people's posture, the people who are standing tall, the people who have their shoulders back, their head up high, right? You immediately think that those people, oh, they're confident, right? They're exuding this confidence. They may not be feeling confident, but they know that if they stand in that certain way, one, it instantly boosts confidence within themselves, and it will boost the way that others perceive them, right? And perceive their authority in the room because they have done a physical, right, embodiment of confidence. So this is why I say confidence can be seen, because when you see somebody, you have a perception, right, that person is confident just by the way that they're standing. Conversely, if you see somebody over in the corner looking all meek, head down, shoulders, buckled, or, they don't look confident, and you make that perception about them. They very well could be confident. They very well could be. But what you see doesn't translate, and therefore you're going to make a perception, right? You're going to come up with all kinds of ideas about who they are and who they aren't, and what they can do and what they can't do. And so body posture, right? The way that you look, the way that you stand, the way that you dress is really important to confidence for you, right? To boost your own confidence, but also to increase people's perception of whether or not that you're confident. Another thing is your voice, right? Your tone and your articulation. We have to learn to control our tone to suit the context of the conversation. I speak really fast a lot, right? And I have to be mindful of that. And sometimes when I am being playful in my speech, I don't articulate my words as I should. And I notice this, when I go back and watch my speeches sometimes, but it is who I am, right? It just is what it is. And I'm not going to get overly crazy about it, and nor am I going to let it shake my confidence. But I do understand that your tone and your articulation, right, is really important for people to see and to hear. And it really does lend to whether people think you're confident. Think about when somebody's saying something to you and you're like, their voice sounds really shaky right there. I don't think they know what they're really talking about, right? As opposed to somebody who's very direct, who is very, well-spoken and can articulate points, who, if they have something on their slide, or, they're communicating a point to you, they really do understand that. The way in which they communicate that to you, the sound of their voice, the speed of their voice, the steadiness of their voice, all of those things lend to whether or not you feel that person is confident. And it's the same for you, right? So what you'll see is that all the things that I'm going to be talking about today are things that you've seen in other people, right? And you can identify them as being either confidence boosters or confidence detractors. And so I want you to just understand that if you're having any of these feelings where you're lacking confidence, just look at those things and incorporate the good and do away with the bad. So pay attention to your tone and your articulation. If you there's so many people, they say public speaking is like the number one fear, right? And so there are many people who are terrified of public speaking. And when I was in college, I could not stand it. I was like, let somebody else do it. Just let somebody else do it. I want nothing to do with public speaking. And people tell you all types of things that you can do to calm your nerves. In that moment, there was nothing, right, that could calm my nerves. But one of the things that you can do if you are feeling that is to really breathe, right? Think about the different, and I'm not an expert in breathing techniques, so I'm not going to even go into that, right? But I'm just going to tell you to think about like how to control your breathing. We know that when we are anxious about something, like taking a deep breath and allowing ourselves to just be centered really helps us to calm our nerves. It will also help you to really to really make sure that your voice is settled, right? So it enriches your voice and it will make you sound assured. And when you are going to speak, oftentimes what we do is, because it's our turn to speak, we just think we have to speak, right? So say, for instance, you're on a panel and they ask you a question, or it's your turn to speak at a meeting and they introduce you. We think that right in that moment between the time that that person stops speaking and when, like, we don't want to leave a stone unturned, a breath, nothing. We don't want to leave anything there. So we just immediately start speaking. What I'm going to encourage you to do is not do that. I'm going to encourage you to just take a breath, center yourself, and allow your mind to get calm so that when you do speak, that the very first words that come out of your mouth come out very powerfully, right? Back to the tone and articulation, that they come out with an air of confidence as opposed to an air of nerves. Because what happens is, when we don't take that breath, when we think that we have to fill that silence immediately, we start saying things like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. Oh, I'm so, right? Don't do that. That takes away from your authority. When you start to discount already, right? You're telling people to listen to you in a discounted state, in a nervous state. You've already lost the battle. So instead of doing that, just give yourself a moment to breathe. It's not going to take long. It takes a second. Take a deep breath and then speak. That will help to really instantly boost your confidence. Before you even start speaking, though, we need to know that you're clear about your message, right? So there are many people who just speak to be speaking because they want to be heard. But if your job and your role is to persuade others, if you want to get other people to act, if you really want people to be transformed or shifted, by your message, then you need to have a message, and you need to learn how to convey that message succinctly, right? And in a way that people can understand, so that you avoid any misunderstandings, that you keep your audience engaged. And engagement doesn't necessarily mean that they're speaking back to you. Engagement could be just having them visualize something or think about something, reflect on something, asking them a rhetorical question, right? So that they are engaged. And engagement could mean all the other things, right? Polls and all the things that actually has them being actively engaged. But the message has to be so, it really has to be critically and thoughtfully put together with your audience in mind, so that when you're delivering the message, it is a message that you've internalized, a message that you really know, a message that comes from your soul, that it's not somebody else's message. And even if it's somebody else's message that you have to deliver, for example, you're a leader in an organization, and you have to deliver a company message, you still need to really internalize that and get clear around that and be able to deliver it from your place, right? Not just reading off of a piece of paper, but being able to really deliver that message. Again, that will help to boost your confidence. We talk about speaking, but one of the, we're talking about speaking and really boosting your confidence around your ability to vocalize. However, one of the best skills and one of the most important skills that somebody who speaks needs to have is the ability to listen. And not just the ability to listen, but the ability to actively listen. When you can actively listen to someone and you can take in what they're saying, it will give you more confidence to be able to respond in a more thoughtful manner and be able to connect more deeply with the people with whom you're having the conversation. Right. So often what we do is, I call it double dutching, is that we're listening to respond, like, when's my turn? When's my turn? When's my turn? As opposed to listening to comprehend. And if we listen to comprehend and we can parrot back or rephrase to the person who's speaking to us, and then be able to respond in that way, right, in a more thoughtful way, that again will increase our confidence, because now we feel good about the message that we're giving. We feel good about the response that we're going to give. We feel good that we have really been present, right? And so we're not nervous anymore. We don't have the anxiety. There's no reason for us to feel incompetent or have a lack of confidence, because we have clarity around what it is that we're going to be speaking about. And then also, last thing I want to talk about today in relation to this is really being able to ask great questions. Again, this goes back to the concept of seeking clarity. When we don't know what we are talking about or how we're supposed to, what people are expecting or how we're supposed to respond to something, because we don't really understand the context, or we heard somebody say something, and we just don't know. We have to know that the next thing to do is not to just respond because, they say, I want a response, right? The response could be a question. The response could be a clarifying question, right? And so you can use questions effectively to clarify. You can also use questions strategically to steer the conversation and also to demonstrate engagement. Again, this is showing confidence, right? This is how you show up confidently, being able to ask these questions and learn how to ask open-ended questions that encourage dialogue and detailed responses, right? That way, it gives you more context around the conversation. This will give you more clarity around what the other person is thinking, what the other person is feeling, to allow you to confidently show up in your responses, right? So questions are like, you need to know how to do that. You need to know how to ask questions. Now, one thing I'll caution you against, and this is something that when I was practicing law, one of the very first things they taught us was, don't ask a question that you don't know the answer to. Now, that may seem, that is a little contrary to what I was just saying, right? Because we're asking questions to clarify. What that means is, when we say don't ask a question that you don't know the answer to, is that when you are trying to shift somebody. So for example, let me give you an example. When we're cross-examining a witness, right? They tell us don't ask a question that we don't know the answer to, because if we do, it could take us down a rabbit hole or make us look like we don't know what we're talking about, right? So I'm asking you a question because I get very curious about it, but all it's going to do is have that person on the witness stand answer in a way that is going to totally derail anything that I'm doing. So while we're in here and we're asking questions and we want to move the conversation and we want to, steer engagement, we want to be careful. We want to be very strategic about the questions that we're asking, right? So ask questions that are related to what you're speaking about. Ask questions that the answer is not then going to throw you into a place of being, again, not confident because you're not even clear. You don't even know what they said. That's not what you expected them to say. Oh my gosh, this just took me on a whole different path, and or this pissed them off or whatever. So be careful about that, right? So effectively use questions, right, when you're asking these questions, and listen so that you understand the types of questions that you should ask. So those are things I want to talk to you today about, really being confident around speaking and projecting confidence and clarity in every conversation. So remember, confidence is seen, right? It's not just felt, it's not just heard, it is also seen. Understand that fear of different things, fear of judgment, fear of not understanding, forgetting your lines, or not being engaged, those things will impact your ability, right, to feel confident and to show up powerfully. We want to make sure that our body posture does not betray us. And we want to make sure that our body posture is one of confidence. Pay attention to your tone and your articulation. Use breathing exercises if you need to. Make sure your message is tight and right, that it is on point. Really work on your listening skills and developing your active listening skills, and also learn how to ask great questions, right? All of these things will help you in your quest to show up powerfully. Try again to stay away from the word confidence and think about, I'm going to seek clarity so that I can show up powerfully. So the next time that you are going to have a conversation, you're going to have a one-on-one conversation, you're going to be in a team meeting, a board meeting, you're going to do a workshop presentation, a keynote presentation, you have to show up in front of the media. Think about all of these things. And listen, breathe. When all else fails, just take a deep breath. And the next time that you have a conversation, before the conversation, what I want you to do is plan out your points, consider your tone, your word choice, think about questions that you can ask. Remember to put on your listening, to really put on your listening skills. And then once you have that conversation, reflect on how well you did. Reflect on how clear you were, how confident you felt in the conversation, how the other person reacted to you. And if you're a person who likes to journal, keep a journal of these reflections, and it will help you to track your progress. So that's all. That's it for today. Go out there, be clear, be powerful. And until next time, take care.